The world is changing, and college students know that more than anyone. The rise of AI has been at the forefront and it has become so ingrained in our everyday lives that students here at LaSalle can now obtain a master's degree on the subject, further signaling the changing times and a future that is uncertain. Now, being the controversial subject that AI is, everyone is going to have a different perspective on it. So, I started asking questions.
Hello everyone, my name is Braden Knapp. I am a junior, and how much I use AI, I would say I use it on a somewhat frequent basis. I wouldn't say every day, but almost like every other day to every third day, either if I need help with some sort of like project management or setting up for like studying of some kind for some test, or even in like just my spare time and I just want to do something and figure out some type of problem. It's a good tool to use, so I feel like I use it somewhat often.
AI, I think at certain parts with AI, it can help with, coming up with ideas and things like that. But overall, I think AI is getting more and more advanced, and I think eventually it's going to end up beating people out of their jobs at some point. I think AI is going to get so good to the point that we're not going to be able to tell like what's AI and what's actually coming from a person. And I honestly think companies are going to start using AI instead of hiring actual workers, and I think the job field is going to be really messed up in a few years.
AI is also having a massive impact on our environment as well as education, as we've covered so far. One student in particular has a lot to say about this and her own uses or rarely uses of AI in her day-to-day life.
I would say I use AI maybe like very rarely once in a while. Like when I have a tough assignment or I'm like doing something, or a lot. I use it a lot when I'm gaming and there's a situation going on the computer, and I'm not very like I'm tech savvy, but not like to a programming level. So I definitely ask AI if I'm like frustrated with my computer and I no longer like want to deal with it. Then I'm like, okay, let me use it and see what it says, and like I give it like the files that it needs, and like it tells me everything. So it's helpful in that way, but I use it like rarely. So I'll just like give my stance on it. Someone told me something like a while ago when AI was first coming up, and as a history minor, it sat with me, or it resonated with me, and like AI, like throughout history, like young people always latch on to like the newest technology, and the older people of that generation are like, oh, like that's like, it's rotting your brain, or it's like unhealthy for you, it's gonna ruin the planet. And that's what's happened like throughout history, like when TVs came out, when, I don't know, the iPod came out, when the iPhone came out. And that's the same thing that's happening with AI, but so like that person told me like you shouldn't disregard it or like see it in a negative light, because it's something new, it's a new technology, it's revolutionary, like it'll help humans out. But because of the effects that it has created on the environment, like people losing their drinking water and all of the power that we use to like keep those data centers alive and keep it going, because like a little like computer fact, but like all those servers have to stay on whenever you use AI. And like I think I saw one time on a TikTok video that like every time that somebody does an AI search, like that's like one bottle of water that like somebody drinks, and it's like it's crazy. Like they have to use water to make sure that those data centers don't heat up and like catch on fire. And I'm sure that some data centers have already caught on fire. So like moral of the story, like AI definitely has like detrimental environmental effects.
Quality insights. Things in education have evolved over time, from the library to the internet and now to AI. Humans, if nothing else, have proven to be adaptable. Now, there was another student's perspective who was in the AI industry, and she provided some interesting insights. Let's take a listen.
Hello, my name is Katie Wagner. I am interning at Cranium AI this spring. It is a cybersecurity company, and I work on the Cranium Learning Environment initiatives for the company. It's essentially a content creation studio where we help to educate and mitigate risks for cybersecurity teams that the company partners with. So we spend a lot of time training and educating banks, hospitals, and legal firms and consulting agencies, just with third-party risk management and making sure that the AI tools that they plan to use are deployed safely with we have Cranium Shield and Cranium Arena, and they are products that help detect risks and it's threat detection. So it just helps kind of, more companies are budgeting it for it now with the rise of AI. So it kind of just helps companies understand. But I do think that they're best used as search engines for finding peer-reviewed resources. I think that it's interesting having a conversation with something that kind of reflects the data that you put into it. So you're ultimately kind of having a conversation with yourself, but it's these large language models that, you know, kind of use the whole data of the internet to give words that mimic it in a conversational setting. I think it's an interesting tool for students to use. It definitely helps build confidence if you're a little insecure about maybe like your thoughts or ideas, but I think generally it's best used and established as a tool. It really is not anything that is ever going to replace the human mind, hand, eye, any of those ideas. It is just kind of used as like a co-pilot to a, you know, pilot in an airplane, so to speak. It's a more technical partner. I think that it can be misused if you rely too heavily on it.
Those students provided some interesting insight. Now, let's get some perspective from some voices who have to navigate through AI in maybe the toughest way out of all of us, college professors. Let's see if they implement it in the classroom or are shying away from it.
All right, so the way I'm using it in classes, it depends on the class. For the upper level courses, it's more of a way to simulate conversations with theorists and thinkers and still bring in real world events. So they're doing dialogues with the actual Plato or Aristotle or Machiavelli. In other classes, like in political analysis or other research projects, it's using it to, one, mine for sources, two, to correct papers, and three, actually giving guidance on how to correct grammar. So the challenge on our end of it is that third question, Chris, is the challenges. The big challenge with this is, in a big scheme, are we taking away creativity and individual thought from you guys? And then even when I use it myself, it's a quick tool, but had I put my time into it to really think through, like, give me a title for an article. It's a crutch. So it might take away time that I could have used to create that title. One of the other things about using it is how to use it properly. That's making sure you have the right prompts and the proper format for the prompts. So that's one of the bigger challenges you guys have to face when you're using it. But the other piece really goes to originality, but also creativity. So are we taking away your creative ability or your judgment?
Our next professor teaches the capstone course for the MBA program here at LaSalle, and the way he's implementing AI into the capstone course is rather interesting, considering how he's taught the course for many years prior to AI's
MBA
boom.
program. So it pulls together all the different classes that the students have had, and it's an integrative course with its own set of theories. And so historically, that course, there's a couple of different ways to teach the course, but one way is to have a student or a group of students study a company and an industry over the course of the semester. So they use the tools of the course to analyze the company, to analyze its performance, essentially to diagnose the company and then make recommendations. And so what I've done, and that's for the MBA capstone course, that's one of the classic ways of teaching it. So what I've done with that course is I've required the students to use AI. Now, if you go back, and I've been teaching for a long time, 15, 20 years ago, even before we had the internet just made it faster. But what students would do is they would go out and find articles. So there's this topic, that topic. They'd find articles. They'd find articles on the firm, the industry. They'd find all the articles, and then they would synthesize that and write the paper. Or actually, over a course semester, it's a series of papers. So what I do with the course is I require them to use AI. And so it sort of flips the story on its in reverse. So old school was you go out, you do all the research, and then you have all this research in front of you and you write the paper. Well, AI can actually take a lot of these concepts up and apply them directly. But where AI struggles, so it can write very, very quickly, but the students themselves have to be very careful about how they prompt the AI.
Seems in just about all walks of life at this point, AI is certainly making an impact. Now, let's hear from someone who is not just a professor here at LaSalle, but is the dean of an entire department. And a department, like pretty much all of them here at LaSalle, AI is certainly having its impact.
So I think we're in a place right now where the rapid development of artificial general intelligence, most often experienced with large language models, has progressed so far that I think there's no doubt that it is going to be impactful on every area of society. It's going to have economic impacts, it's going to have social impacts, learning impacts. It's really going to be quite a life-changing experience that we're all going through.
Life-changing is certainly a way to put it. But if we know anything about human beings, they will survive, they will adapt, and continue moving forward. Thank you for watching.